Happy Wednesday, National Signing Day. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Hope you guys had a great day today. The Bucks had a great day, signing an incredible class, and Ryan Day did really well today at the press conference. Nevadabuck and I are going to break down everything that he had to say. We're going to take your questions as always. Again, we're going to celebrate a great National Signing Day. Signed a lot of really good players. Couple still out there. And then there's some portal guys that look really good in Scarlet and Gray next year. So we're going to break that down a little bit. And take your questions as always. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Huge show last night. Again, we appreciate you guys spreading the good word. We got all kinds of wonderful messages on our email, buckeyescoop@gmail.com. If you have anything you'd like to opine on, we appreciate you guys. Love the feedback, love all of the amazing stories, the anecdotes. Thank you guys so much. Again, yesterday was a record-breaking show for us, so we appreciate that. Today, probably gonna be another monster signing day. Coach Antwi is in the portal, so we'll get that out of the way real quick. I'm sure there'll be more kids jumping into the portal. That's just the natural part of movement with college football. But yeah, huge class signed by Ryan Day and the staff today. We'll break some of those guys down. A couple late flips with Turbo Rogers and the defensive end from we flipped from UCLA. Break those guys down. Take your questions. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, if you guys are really feeling ambitious about helping our show out, which you guys generally are, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. Get on your iPhone, get on your iPad, click on the podcast app, type in Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe. It's completely free. It helps us out tremendously. Also, all of you Spotify, the Spotify crew, I've found out there's a lot of people love Spotify. If you're on that, also please subscribe to us on there. Any podcast format there is, we are on it. But we appreciate you guys so much. With that being said, let's bring in Nevada. Nevada National Signing Day is a national holiday. It used to be the biggest day of the year in recruiting. Now it is a little bit less important just because of the portal, because a lot of these kids will sign today and leave tomorrow. But Ohio State had a really nice day today. They signed a good class. And I thought, as you said, Ryan did very well at his press conference today, facing adversity. Where would you like to start tonight?
Oh, let's talk about signing day, because I mean, what a great class! What a great class for Ohio State. And coming off of Saturday, you just intuitively and intellectually, you just know that one game isn't going to make any difference with recruits. But it doesn't get much lower than we thought. Leaving that game on Saturday, losing to Michigan, we're all bereft of hope, and then this class comes in, and man, we got like 99% of what we thought we'd get into this class, and I was so impressed with the kids, the quality of the kids. I mean, the great thing about this class, and Mr. Sanchez said it on Twitter, but it's, man, there's no mercenaries in this class. Every one of these kids is there for the right reason. We didn't have to buy any of these kids. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not NIL deals, but man, you see these other classes where these guys are just going to the highest bidder. They have no connection. They have no resonance with where they're going. And that's not the kind of class that we ended up with. We ended up with a terrific class. Um, like I said, I could not have been more impressed with the way that Ryan and the staff kept the class together. I think this was a really important day, because we've all been part of signing days where everything seems to fall to pieces, and you're like, what the heck is going on? We're just taking body blows the whole day. And today was, again, a great day for Ohio State. Bad day for the Fong bomb. Fong was dropping bombs left and right. And oh my gosh, talk about on a cooler. He is officially like William Macy in the movie The Cooler. If you've never seen it, but this guy just got bad luck. So the casinos hire him to go touch people when they're on a good roll in Vegas and start losing. That is Will Fong. Will Fong is the cooler right now. He was predicting. He predicted T.J. Alford 5 minutes before his commitment. He predicted him to Miami, going to Miami, and sure enough, signs with Ohio State. I'm like, man, when you missed 5 minutes before, when even the edit monkey is giving you stuff you're missing, that's when you know that you're officially. You need to kind of take a step back and go, man, I really have to reevaluate what I'm doing, because he was just throwing up stuff. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times that guy flamed out today, but that was funny to me. But Ohio State's class, terrific class. Really, the only notable defection on Sunday was Neem offered. Um, Again, Fong had him going to Auburn, and then 3 minutes before it ended up he's going to Oregon. So it basically means nobody knows. And with NIL, Neem was going to clearly go to the highest bidder. Oregon was the highest bidder, and I respect them for that. I respect Uncle Phil and what Oregon's doing from NIL, but that's where I ended up. But the rest of the class stayed intact, and I mean, I couldn't be happier. And then to top it off, Ryan, they had a press conference. They just signed a new press conference with Ryan Day today. And, the first part of it was obviously about the recruits. That's the easy part. Those are just easy to say stuff. But then I got to give credit to some of the media guys actually asked real questions today. And we always try to be fair on the show. I want to tip my hat when they asked some real questions. And Ryan, to his credit, I thought he was humble. I thought he was introspective. I thought he was accepting responsibility for stuff that they did wrong. That was probably the most honest that I've ever heard Ryan Day up there. And you know what it did? It filled me with hope. It did. It filled me with hope that Ryan Day gets it, that he heard the players in the players meeting yesterday. He may not have responded the exact way we wanted to yesterday, but you know what? He heard them. And he was good today. And I felt that, yeah, I've always felt that there was an air of inauthenticity with Ryan. I thought he was authentic today. I thought for the first time we got an authentic. He sounded vulnerable. He sounded humble, and I liked what he was saying. And I know that's probably not going to appease the let's fire Ryan Day and let's move on from him and he's dead to me crowd, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I was happy about it. It made me happy to see him like that. It made me, that's the kind of leader that I want at Ohio State, and I really hope they go on a run because I feel like if they don't, then we're going to be revisiting this coaching issue time and time and time again here over the next 3 or 4 months. But if they go on a run, they're going to get a home playoff game in the first round. No telling who they're going to get. They could get anybody from Tennessee to SMU to Alabama. I mean, no telling who they're going to end up with. But it's going to be in the horseshoe. Win one game, and then it's 3 neutral site games to the national championship. Can't ask for much more than that. And but today, as a fan, man, today was a really good day, and we needed it, and we got it, and I'm real.
Yeah, I thought Ryan did really well today. I thought he had one of his best days as a head coach. Obviously, he had to stand in front of the firing squad. And again, we crack on the media all the time. And the media, a lot of times, they just kind of fawn and they don't want to do anything. But they pushed the envelope today, which was good. I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate good journalism. I appreciate when these guys were pressing Ryan a little bit. And Ryan, he had to stand up there. And I'm telling you, as a guy, again, I never ran from the media. Like when we lost to Florida and got, destroyed 41-14, like, something I did not know going into the national championship game is that they allow the media into your locker room 10 minutes after the game, like it's an NFL game. So normally in college, when you see interviews with Will Howard or Quinshon Judkins or Caleb Downs, it's upstairs in the media room, or it's in a little side room, or it's outside the locker room. Like in the national championship, it literally is right outside of your locker stall in the locker room. So there's guys showering, there's guys changing. And like, I didn't know that in '06. Now we get smashed and, we're sitting there and obviously we're distraught and sad and depressed and whatever. And we're dealing with the media immediately. And so I sat there because I always, I always love talking to the media and just kind of educating them on what was really going on. And then when you have an opportunity, when you're getting smacked, when you get destroyed, like, I mean, you can't run then. If you're going to be there for the 1-2 victory and everyone's, loving you and everything's great. I think it means a lot more when you're there when you get smashed. And, Ryan, he stood in front of the firing squad today, and I thought he did a good job. Again, we're very fair around here, and I'm like Nevada. It gave me hope because again, the worst thing you could do is deny and be despondent and whatever. But I think that he did a good job in front of those guys. And, there's going to be some guys that are going to lose their jobs. Something that, we talked about on the board today was that, I mean, there's some guys that are going to get benched because of their performance. And, Ryan's got to send a message that, hey, if you don't want to perform, then you're not going to get to play. And I think that some of the guys should have been benched long ago. Looking at the offensive line, I think that one of our guards should have been benched a long time ago. And I'm not going to get into that because, again, it all kind of roots itself out. And I tell you guys, if there's one thing that's true, that's like the universal truth of football, is like you can't cheat football. If you don't put in the work, if you're lazy, if you don't practice hard, if you don't lift hard, if you don't push yourself, like that'll show up in the worst possible moment. So, there's probably times when Tigre was out there and he's like, I wish I'd have lifted a little bit harder. I wish I'd have worked a little bit harder. I wish I'd have trained a little bit harder. I wish I'd been on time more. I wouldn't have been 45 minutes late to the Penn State walkthrough. Like, there's all kinds of things where, when you cheat the game, eventually the game will come back and smash you. And that happened to some of our guys, and there's going to be a penance now. And again, kudos to Ryan, because again, the easiest way to get a guy's attention is to threaten their playing time. And again, like I mean, you're not always going to be perfect. And again, there's degrees of playing bad versus not caring versus just not being good enough. And I think that we had a bunch of guys that didn't play great versus Michigan, but we had some guys that played really well. And I think that in a competitive game, I think we could give Tennessee or Alabama or whoever we end up matching up with like a really good game, and we'll probably beat them and move on to play Oregon or Penn State or whoever's the 1 seed, and we've got a good shot to do some damage. So, the one thing I know for sure is that nobody wants to see us in the playoffs, because when you're a top tierish type team, a team that's kind of projected to be the number 1 team in the entire bracket, and all of a sudden you slip down to being 7 or 8 or 6 or whatever we end up being, like nobody wants to see us. They hope that we go to the other side of the bracket because we have as much talent as anybody. So that's going to be something that teams are going to have to deal with. That probably weren't anticipating seeing us until at least the second round, if not the third, or the championship game. So, but I'm excited for Ryan. I'm excited for the kids. They still have a shot. And again, the thing that a lot of former Ohio State players, including Chris Carter, were talking about is the playoff focus. Because again, Sunday's going to be a huge show. Obviously, Saturday night we'll know a lot. What do you think? What are you projecting? Obviously, a lot of the projections are us seeing Tennessee or Bama. And I'm with you. I don't think the committee wants us to face off with Indiana again, because I think that part of the magic of the playoff is that you're going to see matchups that you maybe either haven't seen or you generally wouldn't see on a regular rotation. But where are you at with this playoff and this matchup? Because I think that our guys are going to be jazzed up and ready to go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're going to end up at 6. I think we're going to end up at 6, and I think we're going to host Alabama. I think it's going to be Alabama in the horseshoe, 6 versus 11. That's what I think that we're going to get. And as you mentioned, I mean, this team's going to be part of history. I mean, this the first home playoff game in the history of the school. The latest game, December 22nd, 21st, 22nd, in the history of the stadium. I mean, crazy. These are crazy times, and I think it's going to be Bama. I think SMU is going to beat Clemson, and I think Bama's going to stay at 11, and I think we're going to get them. So that's what we'll see. Lots got to happen. Obviously, if Penn State, beats Oregon, I mean, there's all sorts of different iterations of this world. But our worst case scenario right now is 8 versus 9, and we play Tennessee in the first round of the horseshoe. So right now, we're locked into a home game, and for the players, that's they're still in the fight, man. Like I posted a video today from Jocko Willenick, the ex Navy SEAL commander. And man, he summed it up best. He just talked about, how when people are bringing problems, he would always just say, good. You lost, good. We can learn from it. And the reason it's good is because you're still alive. You're still in the fight. So re-engage, reinvigorate, and get back out there and go on the attack. And I wish that video was on the loop at the Woody Hayes the next 2 weeks because I was ready to go through the wall on that one, and it's just so true. I mean, we've got a chance. We are still in the fight, and these guys. I know that it felt like all hope was lost on Saturday, but it's not. They have a chance to rewrite the whole story, and Ryan has a chance to rewrite the whole story. Ryan could go from the most hated guy in Columbus to they'll be naming streets after him if he wins the national championship. So that's a rare opportunity in life where you get a chance to I mean, what would you give to be able to rewrite the book and go back and replay the Florida? You'd be like the best of times where you're Robin
Oh
Williams going up against Dr.
yeah.
Death, and you get a chance to play the LSU game over again or play the Florida game over again. Wouldn't you give everything to be able to give one more shot at playing those games over again?
Well, yeah. I mean, because those are the ones that define you. I mean, more so than losing to Illinois. Like I said, I've had some catastrophic failures and I've had some amazing victories. And I mean, you always remember, sadly, your failures and like, for immortality at Ohio State. And again, the thing I love about Ohio State is you're literally only remembered if you won a national title. That's it. I'm talking about as a team. Now, obviously, as players, if you're Archie or you're Orlando Pace, individual awards, obviously, if you're one of the true, legendary players, then obviously everyone's going to remember you then. But when you're a team, again, and again, I live this, and let's fact check it. If any other team in this conference won a Big Ten title in football, they would probably get recognized every 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, like whatever the interval is. At Ohio State, if you don't win the national championship, you're irrelevant. Now, again, for some reason, we do celebrate the 2012 team. And again, I was a part of that team. I coached that team. We didn't win the Big Ten that year because we weren't eligible to play in the championship game, and obviously couldn't win the national title because we had a bowl ban. But we recognize that team. But otherwise, it's like the 70 team, 68, the 2020 or the 2005 team that a lot of, again, if we were at any other institution in the world, that 05 team would be like one of the most beloved teams ever because, we spit the bit. We lost to Texas. We lost to Penn State. So we had 2 losses after 6 or 7 weeks, but then we ran the table and we beat Michigan, and then we beat Notre Dame in that Fiesta Bowl. And we had Teddy and we had Troy and we had AJ Hawk and we had Schlegels and Bobby Carpenter and all those guys. And like that team is literally completely forgotten by Ohio State University, which again, fine with it. Because again, the standard is winning the national title. You recognize, otherwise you don't. But that team won a Big Ten title and we won a Fiesta Bowl. Totally irrelevant. 06, we're wire to wire, number 1 in the country. Obviously, we get smashed by Florida, the game that everybody remembers. But we finished as the outright Big Ten title holders. We won that 1-2 Michigan game. At any other school, that is like one of the great celebrated teams of all time. Even if you lose the bowl game, here, like it's like that team doesn't even exist. 07, my senior year, we we lose to Illinois senior day, then we go up to Michigan. Number 1 going into the title game, lose it. But outright Big Ten titles, again, there's no reunion. There's no recognition on the field. And again, I don't care and I don't need that. And I don't even really want to go down on the field, but that's what it is. So, this is a team that obviously most of us, if not all of us, thought would win a national title. And they're literally not going to hit any of their goals. The only goal they have left is the one that's the biggest one and the one that trumps all the other ones is winning a national title. Again, these guys can do. I know that everyone's down in the dumps and everybody wants to roll over and die, but like these guys don't. And these guys have a chance to still make this the best team in Ohio State history if they win the title. Now, again, it's tough because, again, with the Michigan loss, it's going to be hard and everyone's going to hold that against them. But if you win a national title, nobody cares about Michigan. I promise you. And I know that people say, well, my friend's a Michigan fan and he's going to say, well, we beat you and, your title doesn't count. I'm like, dude, if you win a national title, nobody cares about the Michigan loss because the national title is the ultimate trump card. And like I said, I've said this on previous shows, like when you win, I beat Michigan 4 years in a row, won the Big Ten 3 years in a row, my last 3 years. And nobody was ever like, hey, congratulations on winning the Big Ten. Congratulations on being a Big Ten champ because nobody cares. And the Michigan thing is great. But the problem with Michigan is with Tressel and Urban, we won it so many times that it didn't even really count. It was almost like people were numb to it. People didn't care because we made it look so easy, even though it was not easy. It was always difficult. But people could always kind of see that, oh, well, we're going to beat them no matter what, just because we had this hex on them. And, and that's a big credit to Tress and Urban because those guys literally are wizards at beating Michigan. So, Nevada, any other questions that we can get into some super chats? But it was a good day today between the commitments. Obviously, we lost Kojo Antwi to the transfer portal. Lost him and Jaden Ballard, so we're down 2 receivers, which again, it's fine. Like when you lose guys that don't play, it's not a big deal. Someone's got to step up on special teams to take Jaden's spot. But any thoughts on those guys before we dig into some super chats?
Well, no, but I do want to talk about just, there's going to be changes to the Ohio State line. Ryan confirmed today, which is again a rare moment of clarity and honesty at this press conference. They're really happy with the defense, as we all are. Anybody complaining about the defense right now is a moron. So, the defense is fine. Ryan's like, we're fine on defense. We'll go do our thing on defense. Offensively, there's going to be changes in the offensive line, and there's every job on the offensive line right now is up for grabs, probably with the exception of Josh Fryer at right guard, and I mean that in terms of Donnie could move inside, they could move to a new center, they could move Austin to the right side, they could move Carson to the left side. They are contemplating all sorts of different moves right now, but the offensive line configuration, they've got 3 weeks to do it, is going to look different when we line it up on December 21st, 22nd than it does right now. That is a fact. Secondly, the game plan is going to look different. He acknowledges much. I've been hearing, rumbling from inside. They should have gone fast. This whole thing about winning, somehow Ryan had kind of gotten in his mind, it was like a talisman that they have to win the rushing battle. They have to win. You got to win the rushing battle. If you win the rushing battle, you win the game. Win the rushing battle, you win the game. And I've said every time I've heard that for the past 20 years, I've said that's a byproduct of playing the game. It's not the reason you won the game. It's just you win it in the natural flow. Win the game the surest way. If you're a passing team and you've got a passing advantage against guys that can't cover the pass, exploit that. So, I think Ryan realized the error of his ways. I think that was the fundamental. I think that's how he would characterize it. I think we characterized it a little differently, but they're going to change things in offense. So, I I think for him the story is going to be try to reinstall confidence in your kicker and your punter because you can't get a new one between now and the 21st. Reconfigure your offensive line, get Will Howard healthy, um, commit to get the ball out to your playmakers more often, specifically J.J. Smith, and defensively just stay out of the way of Knowles and let Knowles do his thing and keep attacking. And that's going to be that's going to be the story going to the playoff. Like I said, we have 3 weeks. That is almost an entire training camp to get this thing right. And I think we're going to be dangerous. I think the thing you said earlier in the show is 100% spot on. And one of the smart things is no one wants to see us. Nobody. The last thing they want to see come up is Ohio State. That goes for Oregon. That goes for Bama. That goes for Georgia, Texas, anybody. They don't want to see Ohio State because we are definitely the most dangerous team in the entire tournament because we haven't played a complete game yet this entire year. Not one time. Not one time have we put it all together. And I have seen this so many times in the NFL where wild card teams go back and look at how many times wild card teams think about the path of a wild card team. The path of a wild card team is road game, road game, road game, neutral site game. That's their path to the Super Bowl. And for Ohio State, we have home game and then 3 neutral site games. We can do this. We just need to get a little bit of luck, a little bit of momentum. The first game's at home, which is that's the greatest thing in the world. Win that first game and man, off to the races. Let's go win the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this process now is that the Michigan loss isn't. My year was different because we lost to Michigan and somehow we were able to back our way into the title game. It's funny, we backed it in and we were still the 1 seed. That's what's crazy. We didn't back in as like the 2 seed by us. We were actually the 1 seed because there were so many losses and whatever. And now, like with this playoff, it's just like, God, guys, like I know losing to Michigan sucks. And I feel bad for Jack Sawyer and some of these kids that, they gave up a year in the NFL and they wanted to get gold pants and playing the Big Ten title game. But, with what Will Howard's dealing with his injury, and then all of a sudden, you're not playing Oregon this week and you can let him rest and heal. I think it benefits us. I think that playing, 4 straight and, if you want to start the snowball, the avalanche, and you're the 8 seed playing the 9 seed and you win, and then you play, say, Oregon in the next round, like you potentially could be winning the national championship in the second round of the playoffs. So, like, how much confidence would Ohio State have if they knock off Tennessee in the first round, and then they play the Oregon Ducks in the second round in a neutral site, and they win that one? Maybe Oregon's rusty. Maybe Oregon's, celebrating winning the Big Ten title. I don't know. But all of a sudden, you get to knock them out in the second round, and then you're just kind of rolling downhill. It would kind of be in effect a lot like in 14 when Urban, he talks about beating Bama in the first round, and it's like, he's like, that was a national championship, not playing Oregon or Florida State, who they would have seen in the second round, which is the final round of the championship game. Once they beat Bama, that had, Derrick Henry and they had Amari Cooper and all those guys. Like, once they beat Bama, it was just kind of like they were basically like a shooting star that was nothing could stop them, once they won that game. So that could be the kind of the similar scenario where if you beat, you win the playing game and then you play the 1 seed. Like, I'd love to be that 8 seed. Then you knock out Oregon right off rip the next round, and then it's, well, who's left? You might run into Georgia, Texas, but Ohio State's the number 2 favorite on most of the betting apps. They're the number 2 or 3 to win the title. So Vegas still likes Ohio State as much as it's hilarious that Penn State's in the Big Ten title game. Like, Ohio State would be favored versus Oregon if they're playing Saturday. I mean, like, again, there's a futures odd that came out. They're 3-point favorites. So I don't know. Like, I like it. I wear my Ohio State stuff every day. I don't run and, jump off the ship when, like, a lot of people do because again, a lot of times you look stupid. Like, people wanted to quit the team when they lost to Virginia Tech. They didn't look good versus Navy in 14. Braxton Miller's hurt, and they end up rolling through and winning the whole thing. So could that happen this year? Yeah, of course. I mean, the way this team's built, and I don't think Ryan will be stupid enough to not target JJ Smith in the second half. But after we get through the first game, it's going to be neutral sites and domes. And, so when you've got JJ and Will Howard in the throwing game, like, the dome will be optimal for, speed, which is what we have in spades. So, Nevada, anything else? We'll start digging into some super chats.
No, just I mean, what a good day! I mean, man, we needed it. We needed it. I didn't even realize how much I needed it, but what a great day! Great day for Ohio State. And if you're an Ohio State fan, man, you should be really feeling really, really good about the state of the program. A lot better than it's been, and it's encouraging, super encouraging.
Yeah. Drew Does of the Prophet, thanks for the 5. Thanks, Burke and Nevadabuck, for joining us every night. Any intel on David Sanders? Go Bucks, Nevada OH. Nevada, I'll let you go first on David Sanders. I'm not overly optimistic at this point because if he would have dove in the boat today, I'd be a little more excited. But I'm not feeling David Sanders to Ohio State at this point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the word that I've got is that he's already signed with Tennessee, and he's just waiting to announce it tomorrow at the at his team event or whatever that is. So would it shock me to see that information wrong? No, nothing would shock me when it comes to recruiting, because you have to remember in NIL now it's literally for some of these kids, not all of them, but for some of these, it's literally highest bidder. So they're literally on the phone. It's like an auction. It's like being at an auction and kind of going, okay, what are you, Mr. Barton? How much you bidding? $100. Mr. Nevadabuck went 110, and it just goes back and forth, and the high bidder gets the kid. So trying to predict that, it's some of it's just unknowable with Sanders. I think it's Tennessee, but I don't have that. I don't, and you know, I just think it's impossible to have, and that's why I laugh at these recruiting guys. This is exactly why we kind of pivoted out of the recruiting business. Because I told you, we talked about this years ago. I said the recruiting business is dead. It's just gonna be, no one's gonna have the information on this because it can change in a minute. Let's go to inside information, and you're like, let's do that because I'm watching these guys twist themselves into pretzel. Tom Lloyd today switched on Neem offered. I think he switched like 5 times inside an hour, and he just things keep flipping back and yeah, right. Like things were flipping back and forth, just like come on, guys. It's crazy, but long. That was a long answer to a question. I think it's Tennessee, but I don't have it, and I don't have that from anybody at Ohio State said run up the white flag. But I'm just reading tea leaves on that one.
Yeah, I think it's done like you do. Otherwise, something would be leaking out. Raymond Mitchell links for the 10. The only thing that worries me about Urban is that he made several bad coaching hires. 2014 and 2015 were the only teams that didn't have a major deficiency. They kept us from winning the Natty. Well, I mean, that's just part of the gig. I mean, I don't love some of Ryan Day's hires. Now, this is the best staff that we've ever had, in my opinion, with Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly as the coordinators. But, I mean, it's just part of life because, like, with hiring coaches, it's not like you're just building, some sort of a, Lego set. I mean, you have to figure out, okay, who's available. Who do I need to reward? Which, again, that was a big thing with Ed Warner when he made him the coordinator in 2015, is that, he's like, well, Ed's been a great line coach in 12, 13, and 14. Tom Herman left for Houston. Ed had been a coordinator at Kansas. He knew the offense. So you go get Tim Beck to replace Herman and support Ed and let Ed call the plays. And then magically you're going to be in good shape. But obviously that was a disaster. And I called that out when it happened because I thought that Ed would, Ed needed to do the line coach. Like, it's hard. It's almost impossible to be the offensive line coach and be the coordinator and be the play caller because it's too big of a job. It's like if you guys are in a big organization, it's like if you have the CEO and the CFO both as the same person. Like in all reality, you need to have 2 different people do those 2 roles. The offensive line coach is so labor intensive because you're not around the team when they're throwing the ball on 7-on-7. Just from a practical standpoint of practice, like. When they're doing 7-on-7, which is a big time, obviously it's the biggest passing period of the entire day for you're going against the defense, you're calling plays. The offensive line is down at the other end of the field going against the defensive line doing one-on-one pass rush. So, if Ed Warner is your O-line coach, he's down there with the O-line and they'll go through 20 to 25 minutes of 7-on-7 and Ed doesn't see any of it. So he has no idea what looks good, what looks bad, what's quarterback like. So it was like kind of having a blindfold on when you're trying to call the passing game. So I thought that was but Urban also had some of the best staffs ever. I think Urban's biggest problem is that he was kind of the kingmaker when it came to building out next level coaching staffs because he was so good that he would lose a lot of talent. Like he'd lose Tom Herman, he'd lose Charlie Strong, he'd lose Vrabes left after 2 years. A lot of the guys that he had on the staff would become head coaches. I mean, God, in 2012, I look around that room and, me and Zach are podcasting, but everybody else basically became a head coach except Kerry Combs. I mean, Stan Drayton became the head coach at Temple. Mike Vrabel's the head coach of the Titans. Fickle's the head coach of Wisconsin. Everett Withers became the head coach at James Madison. And then Texas State. I mean, it just was, it was crazy. I mean, like everybody moved on and got bigger roles, and I don't know. Well, like I think that's hard. And coaches have bad hires, and some of them, like again, I'm so mystified that Greg Schiano wasn't better just because he's been really good at Rutgers the last few years, and I thought that our defense would be better. Obviously, in 18, we had like the worst defense of all time, which was mystifying because we were talented, but we just schematically were terrible. So I don't know what all that was. And he had Alex Grinch with him, and Alex Grinch was proven to be a fraud when he went to Oklahoma and USC. He got fired in season. So I don't know. Nevada, what are your thoughts? Raymond Mitchell, again, thank you for the 10. He says, the only thing that worries me about Urban is that he made several bad coaching hires. 2014, 2015 were the only teams that didn't have a major deficiency that kept us from winning the Natty. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you can always question hires. I mean, there's never been a perfect staff. There's never been a staff that people don't have somebody that they are unhappy with, that underachieves, or that whatever for whatever reason falls into disfavor. I think with Meyer though, I mean, if Ryan Day left or whatever the circumstances were, and Meyer stepped in, I mean, I would take every coaching deficiency, every idiosyncrasy, the expense of I mean, everything about it. I would take it because he's 7-0 against. He's also he's the greatest rivalry coach in the history of football. Nobody's dominated rivalries like Urban Meyer, and this goes back everywhere, back to Utah, Utah State, Florida, Georgia. I mean, every rivalry game. I think his record is something like 31-3 or something like that. So I would take questionable hires for unbelievable top 5 all time performance and not even think about it.
Yeah, I mean, he dominated, BYU. He dominated Florida State. He dominated, I mean, everybody. I mean, that's the thing that made him special is like Georgia, Florida, he was dominant. And he knows in general how to get a team primed up and ready to go. So that's why at 14 we were great. 15 we smashed Notre Dame. 16 obviously we didn't have a great game versus Clemson. Or they were way better than we were talent wise. He won that Cotton Bowl. He won a Rose Bowl. Bowl games and Michigan games. He was ridiculously good at Ohio State. So um, I don't know. Like I said, we'll see what happens again with Ryan. It's in his court because he's not going to get fired. I mean, they're not going to pay him 35 million and then go buy another guy out or hire Urban to pay him another 50 million. So I think we're running with Ryan unless he decides to go to the league or go to the Texas Longhorns or whatever. So Tony, stop. Thanks for the 10. Tom Osborne was 1-8 versus Oklahoma, and it turned out pretty good. Ryan's personality is similar. Once Tom Osborne figured it out, he was a terror. I hate losing, but let's keep our powder dry. Nevada, your thoughts? Again, it's a lot like Harbaugh. Harbaugh's 0-5 and 50% pay cut on his salary, and everybody in the world hated him. I mean, he was supposed to be their Urban Meyer when he showed up, and he wasn't. He stunk. But then all of a sudden, he was able to kind of right the ship. But what are your thoughts?
Well, he cheated, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, Harbaugh 0-5, Osborne 1-8, Kirby Smart. I mean, I know exactly what the record was, but I know it wasn't good. So yeah, I mean, we all want Ryan to be successful. We all want Ryan to be good. Right now, it's hard to make a case for somebody that's 0-4, but I think the poster's point is spot on and right. I mean, there's a lot of really good coaches that started out losing a bunch of rivalry games, and if we take a step back on Ryan, it's not like we lose to everybody. We're just losing that one game. And look, I've watched enough football. You know yourself. Football comes down to 5 plays a game or whatever. I mean, it's a handful of plays that determine whether you win. And even in that great number 1 versus 2 game in '06, if 5 plays break differently for you guys could have lost that game. That's a losable game for you. In '05 against Michigan, it probably wouldn't have taken 5 plays for you guys to lose. I could probably pick 2. If 2 plays went differently, you probably lose that game. I mean, sometimes the line between winning and losing is very small. So if Ryan had gotten some breaks the last 4 years, Ryan could be 4-0. Ryan could be 4-0, but we're 0-4. And so when you are, you just I don't think we're as far. Look, I guess that's a long way of saying I don't think we're as far away as some people think. And I really, really am rooting for Ryan to right the ship and to write a good ending to the story. Because I guess maybe because I would love that to happen, to have a 45-year-old coach that figures it out and could be here for a while and provide us with stability. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's unfair because when Ryan lost to Michigan this year, it's like our kicker just sucked. And Georgia's and again, and part of that comes down to Mark Pantoni and our recruiting stuff. Like go get us a kicker. Like how does Michigan have guys who can hit 55 yarders and we can't find a guy that can hit a 40 yarder? Like that ends up killing you because again, like I know how advantageous it is to have a weapon as a kicker. And you see really good like teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like Boswell's having like one of the best years ever because he leads the NFL in scoring, I think. He's the best fantasy kicker by far because Tomlin throws him out there and he'll get 6 field goals and go 6 for 6, and he can hit him from 55 yards, and that's a weapon. Like I don't understand how we can be so dominating on an offense and have such terrible kickers like Noah Ruggles and Jaden Felding and guys that can't, they and again, I'm sure they can make, I've heard that they can make 50 yarders and 60 yarders, but it's one thing to kick at practice or in the backyard or at the park, but you got to do it on this pressure, man. The pressure is what makes everything tough about Ohio State. And if you can't handle it, then you got to go elsewhere. But we beat that Georgia team. We ended up winning the national title because TCU was terrible. And, Georgia, the same Georgia team that we lost to won by like 70 versus that terrible TCU team. And I think that this year we missed 2 field goals. But again, that's part of the gig is, everything's, it's a tight road. And it's a few, like you said, there's like 5 plays a game. Like, we played Michigan in 06. Like if Crable doesn't hit Troy out of bounds and give us a free 15 yards and we don't hit a couple things just right, then we lose. That was a 3-point game, and Michigan and Lloyd Carr get bludgeoned for it, and we get praised for it, and that's just life in the big city. And that's why like Ohio State's great because they reward you when you're able to do what you need to do, but sometimes it's hard to keep it all in line. But again, Ryan's got a chance to really right some wrongs and shut up some doubters over the next 2 months, and I'm excited to see it. Proof Buck, thanks for the deuce. Can we add a kicker from the portal for the tourney? No, I know, I don't know the rules, but I assume that obviously if you added a kid today, I don't think that he could be eligible to play this season. I'm 100% sure that's the fact. So you don't get him until next season. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I mean, have an open audition. I want the guy that was in shorts, the drunk guy that was in
God,
shorts that
please,
was kicking.
please.
Yeah, get him. I mean, come on.
If that's a student, like, I mean, dude, there was a guy at the shoe for those of you guys that weren't in attendance where, he's 30 years old or whatever. He's in jorts and a jersey and, came from Heinegate and he hit like a 35-yard field goal, won 10 grand from the Buckeye Careers for Cancer. And I was like, and then our kicker goes out and misses a shorter field goal. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, we have a kicker that's, kicking in a net and he's warmed up and he can't hit it, but this guy comes out of the parking lot and drains one. So, yeah, that was kind of unfortunate. Christian Bauer, what's up, Schmitty? I hope you're good, my dude. King of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Thanks for the 5. 2 things. Is Fry a dead man walking right now? Also, with David Sanders not signing with the Vols, that mean that he's turning towards Ohio State? Nevada, I'll let you go first on this with Justin Fry and also David Sanders.
I mean, I think it depends on how we do in the playoff. I think if we do kind of mid and Ryan's still around and not, he's here, but he needs to make changes, then look, Justin Fry's probably the only guy left to fire. So I think he'd have to be fired. And, with Sanders, I mean, look, there's been some talk about Petty, the guy that was supposed to sign with Georgia Tech. I'm just not that word. Let's talk about David Sanders just for a second, okay? This is my honest feeling, and I don't care if this feeling is popular or unpopular. It's not this is not a work. This is a kayfabe. I don't care whether we get David Sanders. I don't. David Sanders does nothing to help us next year, in my opinion. I think the idea of expecting a true freshman lineman to come in, now some can do it, but it's the rare freshman lineman that can come in, step in, play, and help you right away. So for me, I'd rather take that money and go to the portal. We have a thread going on about portal targets, and there's like 85 guys that are offensive linemen that have played Division I football at a high level, all conference selections, at real schools that are available. To me, go out and get 3 of those guys. Go get 4 of those guys for the money that you would pay David Sanders and line it up and play. That's the way that I would go. I think giving the bag to a high school player like that who's never played out. Now, he may turn out to be a combination of Orlando Pace, Kirk Barton, Corey Stringer, and Bill Wills all rolled into one big dude. Um, but there's an equal chance that he may turn out to be a complete dud. So why not get the guys that are proven to spend the money, because this is money. Every player now that you're recruiting, they're assigning a value to. It's like you have a salary cap. You don't have unlimited money. So you're like, we're bringing this player. This is a $200,000 player. We're bringing this player. That's a $1 million player. This is a $100,000 player. So they've got to spread the money out and make it work. So if David Sanders gobbles up your cap money on the offensive line, and again, this isn't a cope. This isn't, oh, he's going to Tennessee. This is how I feel. I would rather spend that money on established guys, bring them in, because they can help us next year. And that's where I would go with it. That's how I would attack offensive line, because offensive line is the toughest position. You were a 3-star recruit that nobody was having a parade about, and we ended up with a tree in the grove there, Kirk, and you beat Michigan 4 times. And come on, you never know with offensive linemen. I know you never know with every position, but you really never know with offensive linemen. I would spend that money on established guys and pass on the David Sanders type. That's just my personal opinion. Rant over.
Well, it's like I always told Bill Greene and some of the recruiting guys who stuff. Feels like, just because you guys are idiots doesn't mean I have to believe that I'm a 3-star. Because I have a bunch of guys that never coached or played football, and again, I like Bill and these recruiting guys, but they don't know, and then they'll rank some kid a 5-star who stinks, and that was the funniest thing ever. Is I played with guys that were 4-stars, and I'd go against them in practice. Like, these guys are terrible. Oh my God, it's massacring these guys. And it wasn't just guys in my grade, guys that are a year older than me, and they were highly rated and sought after, and oh my God, this kid's gonna be the second coming. And I'd see these guys, I was like, these guys suck. I'd beat them to death in practice and pass them on the depth chart, and kind of is what it is. And again, that's but I would tell these kids, because some of these kids they're so soft mentally that it's crazy. And I said, guys, look, if you don't think you can do it, you're not gonna be able to do it. It's not your coach's job to inspire confidence. You got to be confident, because if you don't believe in you, then your coach damn sure is not going to believe in you. So I would get out there and murder guys in practice, and I was over the top trying to punish guys because some guys had it easy. And again, I like linemen like that. Like a Pat Elflein, 3-star. Urban Meyer would have cut him if he could have. He left. Pat had surgery. I'll never forget. Pat Elflein, who won the Remington, was 2-time All-American. Pat Elflein had surgery. He had some sort of oh God, it was like an ulcer or something, or he had to have it removed from his lower body, and Urban left him off the Camp 105, which was crazy because there's only 85 guys on scholarship, including Pat. So he put 21 walk-ons above Pat, and so you never know. And sometimes even when you're stupid, like Urban was leaving Pat off the 105, Pat came back and proved him wrong. Pat came up captain, 2nd-round pick, Remington winner, great kid, great asset, Columbus kid, Pickerington kid. So I don't know. What I love to get David Sanders, of course, but for every Paris Johnson, there's a bunch of turds. And do I think David Sanders is going to be a turd? No, but if they're going to pay you $1.5 million or $2 million to be a left tackle, you better be really good, because you're going to be making as much money as the rest of the offensive line combined. And if you're just there, as a backup, I don't think that's great. Now, you want to pay a guy in the portal? I'm all about that life. In terms of Fry being a dead man walking, I think he's just like Ryan. Let these playoffs play out and see how it goes, because I think that's going to be the most important part. Living in Columbus, Ohio, Super Chat, thanks for the 10. This season's expectations were the highest of all time. The pressure was immense as soon as this roster was assembled. Pressure has been released, and we're playing with house money. Ohio versus the world. Yeah, guys, like as long as we make the playoffs and our roster is relatively healthy. Now, again, I know we lost Josh Simmons, which is painful, and Seth McLaughlin, which is painful, but we still have JJ and Will Howard and Caleb Downs, and everybody's had injuries. So that's how I feel. Like, get into the thing and go run the table because, like, the 14 team, which was the greatest coaching job in Ohio State history, we lose Braxton, who was the entire offense and was the Heisman favorite. Then we lose JT, who stepped in, was magnificent, was first team All Big Ten, and then you win it with Cardale. So if you can lose Braxton and JT and then win with Dale, then why can you not lose a center or a tackle and win the Natty with some good scheme? Nevada, what are your thoughts? The pressure's been released, and we were playing with house money. What are your thoughts on that as we head into the playoffs?
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the beginning of the year. Yeah, I mean, any achieving of our objectives started with making the playoff. Like, you had to make the playoff. You needed a chip and a chair as part of the 12-team playoff to win the championship. And so for now, it's just a question of where that chair is going to be. Were we going to be the number one seed with a bye? Were we going to be a 5 seed and have a home game? Are we going to be 6? We're going to be through 8. But we're in the playoff. We are 100% in the playoff. We are 100%. Not only are we in the playoff, we're at 100% in the top side of the bracket. We are 100% guaranteed a home game in the playoff, in the first round of the playoff. So look, there's a lot of teams that had high aspirations that are on the outside looking in, that wish they were in the playoff, that aren't there right now. And we're there. We've got a shot, and nobody's expecting anything from Ohio State from the fan base standpoint. But I can tell you who is expecting something: Las Vegas and the opponents. They all know how dangerous Ohio State is. I said it earlier in the show, but I'm going to be the old guy that repeats himself. We have not put together a complete game yet this year, not one time. And if we do that, we could be a very, very dangerous team. And it would not shock me to see that happen in Columbus on December 21st or 22nd. Would not shock me at all.
Yeah, I agree. AT, thanks for the 5. Says I mentioned Denzel Burke yesterday, but he's been very disappointing to me. What do you guys think about him? And do you think he'll get drafted or be an undrafted free agent? Nevada OH.
Oh,
He's not going to be an undrafted free agent. He'll probably be, I'd say, a second or third round pick. Denzel's been very disappointing. Like, let's just cut to the chase. Like, he wasn't all Big Ten this year. He's the guy that we thought could win the Thorpe Award, and he wasn't even on a conference. So he's had a down year. And again, it's disappointing because he's a good kid. His dad's a great guy. But he's been very disappointing. Just being honest. I mean, again, like if he looks at, like they released the All Big Ten awards yesterday, and we had a lot of guys that we had high hopes for that could potentially be first team All Americans, potentially get a tree, and they ended up being third team All Big Ten, second team All Big Ten, honorable mention All Big Ten, and that's not what they were shooting for. So I'm sure he's disappointed with his performance. Obviously, the Oregon game was far-reaching as he did not play well and got scorched in that game. So I don't know. I would say third round, second, third round. Corners are hard to find, and it really depends on how fast he runs. If he runs well, it could be a first rounder late, maybe second rounder. But yeah, I think Denzel's been disappointing this year. Nevada, your thoughts? I assume that you'll say that Nevada's going to get, or excuse me, that Denzel will get drafted. He won't be undrafted, but his stock is plummeted a little bit. What are your thoughts?
yeah, I've got him kind of slotted third, fourth round, but I think a lot, like you said, it's really going to come down to his 40 time. If he runs well, it could be higher than that. If he runs worse, it'll be lower than that. But there's no way he's undrafted. He's too good of a player. Had too many good moments. His career's been kind of 1 year on, 1 year off type of thing, and I fully expect him to be better this year. He hasn't been, but some NFL team he could be a hidden gem for them for sure.
Yeah. Stephen Ward, thanks for the 5. When evaluating an offensive line recruit, what do you look for as most important for most to least? Well, size is huge. Obviously, you have to be a certain height and size. That is kind of the starting point. Athleticism, obviously, you have to be able to move your feet. There's a lot of big guys that can't move. And then, like, not to get too granular, but like your mentality is really important when you play offensive line because you're going to get beat to death by your teammates, your fan base, coaching staff. Like it's a hard position to play. And, there's a lot of, grief that comes with playing offensive line, because if something goes wrong, in general, the fan base will blame the offensive line. And so, yeah, I mean, and you gotta have a work ethic. You have to be wanting to learn and improve. And if you're not about being prideful and getting better, then I don't want anything to do with you. And there's some guys that just want to get through it and take it easy. And if they play great, and if they don't, also great. But those aren't the guys I'd look for. But you gotta have the right size. You gotta be a certain height and weight. And I think your mental capacity is huge, because you have to be able to diagnose a play on the run. Like, when a team blitzes, you can't freeze. And that's been one of Tigres' thing. And I'm not saying Tigres got a mental issue. I just think that he's been poorly coached, because I don't think Tigre's a dumb kid. I think that he has been poorly coached, and he doesn't know his plays, which, again, that's on the coaching staff. When it's week 12, like, the coaches have got to figure out a way to reach the kid and get it to him. And I think that he's atrocious with his hands. Again, Urban, if you guys watch the Urban Meyer and Jared DiNardo Big Ten breakdowns, he talked about how he said Mason Graham's the greatest player he's ever seen using his hands. I was like, well, Mason Graham's good with his hands, but we're just so bad with ours that, like, it makes Mason Graham look even better, just because he's getting his hands on and locking our guys out and steering us around and throwing us around like rag dolls. And if you use good hand placement, then that would never happen. But we don't believe in that. We don't teach that. And I watch Josh Fryer get jacked backwards, and I watch Tigra, and I watch Carson, and I'm just like, it makes my soul hurt watching it. And then I watch guys go to the wrong guys, and I just like, we have 75 offensive line coaches. I think some of them should figure out how to coach some of the stuff so that they can be better. Because I hate seeing, like, Donnie Jackson's a 450-pound bencher, probably squats 600 pounds, and he plays with no power because his hands are so bad. And Donnie was first team All Big Ten. He'll be probably a third-round pick in the draft. But there's so much meat on the bone that it's crazy. Because Donnie is a guy that I really thought would be more of a butt kicker, and he's just not. Like, and I know he moved out to tackle, which is very admirable, and he did well at tackle. But there's different levels of physicality. I thought some of these guys were good too, and we really didn't do it. Nevada, is there anything you would add to evaluating an offensive line recruit?
No, I just think movement. I mean, I'm a big believer in just in our gambling, especially betting the MMA, we're studying movement, and I like guys that can move and guys that are flexible benders, and I think that's really an important underrated thing in all positions, but certainly offensive linemen.
Yeah, I agree. Big Red Buck, thanks for the 20. Appreciate you, my friend. So I remember when USC was at the top with Pete Carroll, all they would say is that our toughest team is when we practice against ourselves every day. Do we do that, ones versus ones, and find out who the best linemen are? Yeah, we do that a lot. Urban did that a lot. Jim Tressel did it probably more than Urban. We went ones versus ones all the time. But you got to do your scout teamwork where you go against the backups and kind of get a look of what whoever your opponent is work. But then you do some live stuff versus the defense, and it's us running our offense, the defense running their defense, and it's just a competitive period. And it's a good way to kind of stay sharp, because the scout team's just usually not full speed, but the stuff against the ones is always full speed. So I knew that at the end of certain practices, I was going to see Vern Golson in a pass rush situation, third downs or goal line or whatever, and I knew that I'd have to block Vernon or Cam Hayward or whoever my senior year, and it keeps you sharp, because that's the hardest part. The whole thing that determines how hard a football practice is at Ohio State is how much do you go against the first defense. And in early in the season, we'd have inside run, which is a all running play period, very, very physical period, and it'd be ones versus ones, and we get 5 to 10 plays in. Then you rotate the twos in, the threes sometimes. Then we'd have a couple of periods versus the first team defense, like a blitz period. Then we'd have a third down, or we'd have like a red zone period. And those are really physical periods. And we do that now. Because again, you got to have Tigre go against Ty Lee, because that's the only way we can get ready. Because going against a walk-on nose guard isn't going to do anything to get him ready for prime time. So again, I like the ones versus ones. We do it. Pete was really good about talking about it, but Urban did it a lot. Tressel did it more than anybody. And I think Ryan probably models some of his stuff after that, but most good teams, they do that. Nevada, do you have anything to add on that in terms of the Pete Carroll one versus one stuff?
No, I mean, I've always been a big fan of, the best on best stuff, and I think that kind of hones you to a shine. It'd be interesting to see how much they do that during this bowl prep, because bowl prep is, we famously known as showtime for some of the young guys, but this is this is big. You're in it for the national championship. You're playing for it, so it'll be interesting to see how much ones versus ones they do in the over the next 3 weeks, and we'll definitely be reporting on that.
Yeah, Buckeye one. Thanks for the deuce. Does Chip have to answer for the play calling? I'm sure he has, and I feel like Ryan's been kind of all over that in terms of the play calling. Nevada, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, you got to remember Ryan's there. It's not like, I mean, the play calling went on. The play calling was the same in the second half as it was in the first half, and Ryan's on the headset with a play sheet. So if you don't think that was a Ryan Day joint, man, you're crazy. That Chip was giving Ryan what Ryan wanted to have, and and I'm not absolving Chip from this, but like let's be fair. The buck stops with Ryan on that, and um, you know that's just, I mean, that's the way it is. So I think, I'll give Chip 30% of the blame, but I'll give Ryan 70% of the blame because he's got to own that because he's the head man.
Proof Buck, thanks for the deuce. Will Devin and Julian be ready to step in if needed? I think they will be. I mean, they've been practicing for it and competing to see who's going to be the starter next year. So, yeah, I think that they'll. I mean, they better be. I mean, if not, it's going to be a short-lived season. But I don't know if any backup is ever truly ready to go in until he has to go in. Because like when I was backup and they threw me in there versus a first-round pick, like I mean, I was ready and I stayed ready, but being a backup is like the worst position in sports because you constantly have to stay warm and stay aware and stretch and be ready to go at a moment's notice. And I'd rather just start and play, which is why I became a starter and never looked back. W Buckeye, thanks for the 10. After listening to the show last night and thinking of the blip at the whack, it reminded me of one of those. It reminded me of one of my favorite persons, Nevada, who had this on his desk: a ship does not move in still water. Nevada, did you have that on your desk?
Well, I must have, because otherwise, how could you come up with a great quote like that without knowing? I mean, look, the Oracle came up with a great quote. He said, "A leader that doesn't have many follow him is just a guy out for a walk." So you have that, and a ship does not move in still water. Great saying. Don't know where that's come from, but that's a great. That's a great. Does anybody know where that's come from? Do you know? Have you ever heard that expression before?
No, I don't
I
get
was
out
trying.
on the water
I,
very much.
I, I, I was trying to think if that was like a Bangles song or something like that. Like a ship does not move on still water. Does it ring a bell with you at all?
I
No bells, no bells being rung.
I wasn't alive in the '70s, so you'd have to educate me on that.
A
when you're
ship does
when
not
you're you're
move on
you're you're
still water.
when you're in college during Vietnam and you're like out there like
I was at Kent
I
State,
miss
man.
that.
I
Yeah.
was at Kent State. Why? Why?
Yeah,
I was there
you're
in that famous photo.
you're taking a
I had
knee.
taken it.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, yeah. Let's
Uh,
go. We're having big fun now. A ship does not move in still water.
yeah, that's like a maybe an Oklahoma fight song when they play Oklahoma State. Is that where they're at? They're in Stillwater, right?
Yeah,
Um,
still water. Yeah.
all right. AT, thanks for the deuce. Do you guys have beef with Taylor Lewan? I don't think so. Not that I know of. I mean, Taylor Lewan is a world class piece of trash.
Yeah, he's a
Complete.
douchebag.
He's a garbage. I mean, Google him. Google him raping the threatening the rape victim, and again, our moronic sports information director Jerry Mig had Taylor Lewan come into the Woody Hayes and interview Ryan Day, and then Taylor Lewan the last 3 days. And again, I get it. He's a Michigan guy. He's worse than Hamas or Al Qaeda or whoever the worst terrorist. I mean, that's where Taylor is in terms of his stupidity. And he came into our building and interviewed Brian Hartline, and interviewed Ryan, and they allowed that. And again, Taylor is like, he's just a scumbag. He's a douchebag. And again, this is not from a place of jealousy. I don't care how big his show is. I mean, I thought he was a douchebag when he was in college. Google him. Google the rape case, Taylor Lewan rape case. Google it, and let me know what you think because it's not pretty. But we let him waltz right in and talk to Ryan, set your stuff up, and again, that's why we're again. Sometimes karma is what we deserve when we do stupid stuff like that, and then we end up losing to Michigan. You let a guy who hates Ohio State worse than anybody in the world, talks trash about us nonstop, and hates us, come in and actually get views off of an interview with Ryan. Now, the interview sucked and it did okay, but I'm just like, why would you ever let that guy come in like just let Hamas come to the what he is too and come watch practice? Why don't you do that next time? Say, Hamas is outside. Let them come in and check it out. But we're so dumb. But Taylor, like we don't have any beef with him. Like he doesn't probably don't know that we exist, and I don't watch his stuff because I think that it's generally just not very good. It's for the smooth brains, the dumbest people in the world like to watch Taylor Lewan act like an idiot and say dumb things all the time. So I don't know. Like we coached against him in 2012. He lost, just like he lost. I think he beat us in 2011.
No, but did he play in 2011, or was he there in 2011? He was there in 10.
I think he played in 11. I know that we beat him in 12 for sure. I think he played in 11 when they beat us. When we were 6 and 7, and then we beat him in 12 for sure. But I don't even. I think his senior year was actually 13 when we had the overtime game where Tyvus picked it off at the end of the game to win it. So yeah, I mean, he won the 11 game.
I just love the guys that just like talk all that crap when like he's a loser. You know what I'm saying? It's like Taylor, like you can like go up and I'm towards Michigan. Dude, you didn't do crap, man. So it's like, just shut up. So I don't know. But Emig having him in the Woody Hayes.
Come on into the Woody and interview our head coach. And I'm
stupid.
We don't even like our local media. Like I think that our local media, they're just they're very plain Jane and just not talented. But at least give those. I mean, they don't even let our local media interview Ryan. I mean, those guys are there every day, and they think that it's important to do these dumb press conferences. But like, why would you not let them do the interview as opposed to a guy that comes in for a day, hates Ohio State, talks trash about Ohio State? I was like, give it to one of the local guys at least. Like, give it to Dom Taveri or and I have no bones with Dom or Clay Hall or some of those guys. I'm just talking more about the websites, but like, let those guys interview him because I mean, they don't get to interview Ryan ever. Not that he says anything intelligent, but I'm just saying, like, come on, guys. Like, what you think him going on busting with the boys is going to help the brand? No. As soon as he's done, he turns the microphone off. Taylor's going to rip the school and he said how terrible the facility was. And as soon as he got done walking through the facility, he said how terrible it was. I was like, well, that's great. I mean, spread that out to the world because Michigan's facility is a million times nicer than ours, but we don't need to broadcast that the way Taylor did. But again, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Rome 704, thanks to the 5. Out of all the transfers today, who are you all the most interested in? Besides the kicker, I saw the Ducks just lost an Auburn O-line, or just lost an O-line. Auburn lost a D-line portal blender. I honestly don't know. I mean, I haven't seen a guy where I was like, oh my God, we have to get him. I'll look at it a little bit closer. I kind of want to wait till the portal's closed to see who the full kind of spectrum of players are, but I don't, any offensive lineman, obviously get 2 or 3 of those guys for sure, which I think we will. Nevada, are there any guys that you're surprised about entering the portal?
Not surprised, just like I said, we have a whole thread, and I'd have to go look at the names of the thread, but I mean, like, you go through, there's so many offensive linemen, and they're like first team all conference, started 30 games. I mean, I just haven't watched enough tape to know who's really good, who's Victor Cutler, who's Jimmy Simmons, who's Seth McLaughlin, because there's a big difference between getting to Victor Cutler and getting to Jimmy Simmons. So I don't know, but there's a lot of them. I mean, it's not like there's like 5, there's like 50. So, if you're on a member of BuckeyeScoop.com, we've got breakdowns on just about every one of those guys, and we'll be looking at tapes trying to figure out who exactly are. I want to find out from Ohio State who their targets are, and once we find out, we can start discussing that here on the show as well.
Yeah. Slowly, Belly, thanks for the 5. Guys, we have enough players on the team to hold each other accountable. SEC kids seem to have this quality. God, I don't know about that. I mean, I think a lot of these SEC kids are ready to leave at the drop of a hat. I think that they're worse than the kids at Ohio State. We've got a lot of guys that want to hold guys accountable, Jack and Donnie Jackson and Will Howard and whatever. But I don't think SEC kids hold anybody accountable because they're the most transient conference I think there is in terms of transfers. But what do you think, Nevada? Do we have enough guys to hold the team accountable in your opinion?
So, I mean, for sure. And look, we've got a high quality bunch of kids, and the character of the kids and the effort of the kids and the backbone of the kids, man, it's not even questioned. The questions that I had were all directed and related to the coaching. I think it was 100% game plan. If it was effort, I'd sit there and say we didn't give proper effort, we weren't properly focused, we didn't play with enough enthusiasm, whatever it was. But man, the effort was there, the game plan just sucked. And the good news is you can change the game plan. You can't change your kids. So it's kind of like changing your coach. You can change your coach, but you can't change your roster. We've got the kids to win, and I think there's plenty of character, there's plenty of accountability, and from that standpoint, I don't think our roster takes a second place to anybody.
Yeah, Scott Pell, thanks for the 5. Hey guys, joining late. Think Ryan Day was coached to say what he did today? Of course he was. I think his real feelings were on display after Michigan. Are you concerned? Yeah, I mean, these guys always are kind of coached on what is going to get, they're going to get asked, and there's always PR people that talk to these guys. So it was a little coach up, I'm sure. And I'm sure that the other thing is he's had a lot of time to kind of think through, in his mind, because he's not getting ready for the Big Ten title game, like what is going to get asked of me in this press conference. And, it's the softball crowd. They're not going to ask any high heaters. I mean, they were a little more difficult today than normal, which is, again, is appropriate after losing that Michigan game. But I thought it was kind of what you'd expect. And I thought Ryan did a good job with it because it's not fun going up there when you're 0-4 and literally every single national football person is saying that you're going to get fired. That's not, because most of them don't even talk about Ryan Day until something like this happens, and they can potentially say he's going to get fired and get some cheap heat for their podcast. But it is what it is. Nevada, your thoughts? Do you think Ryan Day was coached to say what he said today? And do you think his real feelings were on display after the Michigan game? What are your thoughts?
No, I thought he was authentic today, and I have not always felt that he was authentic. Like I said, I've stated that before. I thought he's been very inauthentic, and um, I don't know. To me, it was just different. And I've watched a lot of Ryan Day press conferences. I watched a lot of press conferences from a lot of coaches, and I'm not saying that I can like some poker savant that I could just read them all, but I got a different feeling today. I really truly did. I thought for the first time that we were getting the at his core who he was, and I liked it. So while I'm sure he was coached, my opinion was that was authentic Ryan Day today, or as close to authentic as we're ever going to see.
Yeah, and that's just part of it. I mean, you're always going to kind of run through your answers, and I thought he did a good job. Now, AT, thanks for the 5. Everyone's very hard on JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, but they're predicted to go in the first or second round of so many mock drafts I've seen. Yeah, I mean, I thought Jack was better than JT this year. I was kind of surprised JT was first team All Big Ten and Jack was either second or third team, but kind of is what it is. I think both of them are disappointed in their years because they didn't get enough sacks, but Jack was really good this year. But again, defensive ends are kind of the weighting of their sack production is so high. It's like if you have 10 sacks and you suck the rest of the game, then people think you're great. And if you get no sacks, then people think you stink. But I think that they'll be okay. Like I think they'll both have good long NFL careers. And I think JT's the guy that'll get drafted by Bill Belichick wherever he lands because he loves him. He loves the 3-4 guy, and he'll play a long time in the league. And I think they'll both be more productive in the NFL than they were here. Nevada, your thoughts on Jack and JT?
I mean, Jack, I thought Jack was great this year, and I mean JT. I mean, let's look back on his 4-year career, and it's like, man, he had that one great game against Penn State, and other than a few flash plays, I mean, he's just been okay, and that's just an honest assessment. I was surprised to see him, um, you know, get the All Big Ten honors over Jack, but hey, those are both guys that put in the right system will play a long time in the NFL. And both really good kids, better against the run than against the pass, but really good kids, 4-year starters, and really really glad they chose the Buckeyes.
Yeah. Rome 704. Thanks for the deuce. Thoughts on Oregon offensive tackle Jaquan McCroy. I just if a guy is gonna bail out this time of the season and when you're potentially gonna win a national title, I mean they're the favorites of the national title, and you're gonna bail. I just don't know if I want anything to do with you. Obviously he's not gonna start this year, but their right tackle's gone. I think their left tackle's gone too. So if you're dipping out and you've got two tackles leaving, then I don't understand why you'd be leaving. But again, I could be wrong. But I don't know. I'd have to watch his tape. But I don't like a guy that leaves at the beginning of a tournament run and kind of bails on his teams. It's not something that I'm really big on. Joe, thanks for the 5. Any interior offensive line that have entered the portal that have piqued your interest? Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 of them. There's a couple of MAC kids that I'm going to look at. I haven't watched their tape yet. Nevada, are there any guys that piqued your interest? Again, there's a lot of guys that have made all conference at lower levels that are looking to move up and get a little bit of a payday. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have never seen so many quality offensive linemen enter the portal as quickly. I mean, it's crazy. Usually, when we got Jimmy Simmons, it was like Jimmy Simmons and then a bunch of guys that hadn't played. This is all like these are all kids that have played. But like you said, I haven't spent any time really researching them or going through and watching the tape to see who we really want. But let me tell you what, there's a lot of them, and you think about it, that's just kind of the new nature. Go play well at a lower level football, establish yourself, put some tape out, and then go get paid by a bigger school.
Yeah, and I think that's benefits us in a big way because these lower schools are farm systems. Craig Kitchen, thanks for the 5. Will any of the 3-0 linemen that are hurt be coming back for the playoffs? Ryan Day is all we need for the long haul. Well, obviously, we have 2 that are out with Jimmy Simmons declared for the draft, torn patellar tendon. Nobody's coming back from that. He's going to be out till probably August. And then Seth McLaughlin tore his Achilles. He's out for 12 months easy. The question is Zen going to be ready? Zen could be ready. And do you move him to tackle and put Donnie at guard and kick Tiger out of the lineup and play Seyerveld? I don't know. But it gives you a little bit of options. So that'll be interesting to see how it shakes out in bowl prep. And we'll have all of that on BuckeyeScoop.com. W Buckeye, thanks for the deuce. Oh, this is great. Nevada. It was George Steinbrenner. Again,
Oh man, I love it.
Smooth sailing, rocky top boat or whatever.
Now, fun fact. We did George Steinbrenner's at the old Yankee Stadium. He had his office, and and all the chairs had like duct tape on them because he wouldn't like it when they got torn. Like his secretary would try to get rid of them, and he'd pull them back because he didn't want to waste money on new furniture. And he had this glove, like this baseball glove seat there, and his suite was his outside suite for the games was right outside his door of his thing. And so we brought our kids, and we're doing a thing, and our kid had a big diaper, so we changed our diaper. George Steinbrenner's daughter. Jenny changed the diaper on George Steinbrenner's desk. So but I didn't see the ship thing on there. But yeah, so my kids got their diaper changed on George Steinbrenner's desk, and we threw it in a little trash can right by. Nah, it was Morgan's. I think it was Morgan's.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah, I think it was Morgan's. Yeah,
I like it. Well, that's cool. You should and. For that big steamer, he left you out of the deal on the network. He didn't give you 10% of it. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I know. That would have been nice. Darn guy.
Darn. I know. That would have been good for some
The ship doesn't move without the still water.
Oh my God, I love this show. Road 704, thanks for the deuce. Nevada needs a Christmas album called Scoop Christmas.
Oh,
Nevada the Nuggeteers will be the name of the crew. Of like funky, and we'll have Kiki Buck. They'll all be caroling.
I'll be like Peter Griffin. It's like, here comes baby Jesus, and he doesn't look very happy. It's just like, come on. Come on.
You guys could have recorded it when you were driving from Wisconsin to
Uh,
Columbus, and you're in the ice
oh,
storm, and like you
oh
guys would be
man.
caroling the whole way. I should have told Kiki Buck, record your dad singing right
Oh my
now.
goodness.
You know, when
Yeah.
he's
I
hunched
was,
over the wheel,
I,
and he's got the wipers going 1,000 miles an hour, and he's like, look, the wipers are
I was
going,
gripping, man. I was
gripping,
gripping. It was
black ice
bad.
everywhere.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Oh, I was like, if Nevadabuck wouldn't have made it, I could have just laid across all your chairs because that would have wiped out half the suite. And I just would have been like,
Yeah.
oh,
No kidding.
Nevada.
Wow.
We'll see you at the funeral on Monday.
Whew.
We'll go. I'll tell you what. I'll go to the funeral on Saturday of Ohio State season, and then I'll go to your funeral on Monday. It'll be like the old two for special. The Michigan.
Spread my ashes on the tree. You know where I want my ashes. I want them on our tree.
I was gonna have Chip Kelly and Ryan Day be your pallbearers so they could just let you down one more time.
Oh, come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's
but
go.
I would have had Jim Knowles eulogize you because that probably would have brought you back to life. You'd have been like, you would have sat up. You would have said, this defense makes me rise from the ashes. Like it's I'm rising out of the Kerry Combs era where we gave up 700 yards every game. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to get on this message board and I'm going to get on this podcast and we're going to get 50,000 views in one day and we're going to be lit, baby. That's what we do.
You and your writers, man. Your writers. I just give you guys all the credit in the world.
I'll get Will Howard and Jerry Emig out there to let you down. Just like, come on down right here, boy.
Let's go.
Will Howard's pinch nerve would flare up and he'd just fall in the casket with you right on top of you.
Oh
like,
man,
no, Will,
I can't believe you're talking about that, man. Don't be talking about that stuff. The pinch nerve.
Oh my bad. Oh
no.
Well, it's just a pinch. You know, it's like a pinch of skull. Don't hurt nobody.
Yeah.
All right. Just in case the Tennessee Volunteers fan base is listening to the show, let's end it quick. And I'm talking quick. All right, Nevada, any final thoughts? Christmas album or otherwise? Peter Griffin Jr.
Yeah, they said that
handy quacks.
A ship that we're cooking. Now we're cooking. We have liftoff. There we go. But a ship doesn't move in the storm. But no, I'm ready. I'm ready to re-engage. I'm ready to reinvigorate. I'm ready to get back in the fight. I hope Ohio State is. And yeah, good times, man. I'm telling you, they're getting back on the field. They're moving around now and doing stuff, and hopefully the guys can kind of pull it together and make a playoff run. I'm excited about it.
They can start cooking. Cooking.
Cooking. Now we're cooking.
Meg, can I see in the kitchen? Meg.
She's hot. She's office hot.
Mr. Tomato Pants.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that show. All right, let's wrap this before we get delirious here. Before we pinch a nerve. All right, appreciate you guys kicking it with us as always. Another great night, another huge show. We'll be back in at 7 tomorrow, leading into Thursday Night Football. Hope you guys had a great night. Another good show. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, love you guys to death. Awesome show last night, awesome show tonight. Streaking into the playoffs. This will be a great run. Great signing day for the Buckeyes, so we're excited about that. If you guys enjoy this, if you can help us out, the best thing you can do for us is subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts. Again, we're trying to grow that format as fast as we can, and it's working. So we appreciate you guys. So as always, again, our message board is crazy. If you're not at BuckeyeScoop.com, you guys are missing out in a huge way because it is it's really fun. So I'm about to jump on that right now. But as always, if you guys, like I said, I can't thank you guys enough at this point because our show last night was huge, biggest show we've ever done. We had like 150 new subscribers last night, so thank you guys for that. You guys are the best. So again, it's a huge show because you guys make it one, and we're just so appreciative, and the numbers were crazy. It's all thanks to you guys. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 7. Or you can come see us right now on the message board. We're going to jump on that right now. You guys have a great night. Go Bucks.